I'm Hannah Bates, and I will be teaching you how to do a proper squat. So, I know you're wondering why you should care, and the answer to that is because squats are built into our everyday lives. When you sit down and stand up from a chair or a bench or anything, you're basically squatting. As you get older, I don't know if you've noticed, but sometimes older people have a little bit of trouble getting up and down from chairs. And if you do squats earlier on in life, this can help prevent any type of reason why this might be an issue for you as you get older. There's a variety of benefits, including strength, power, flexibility, and balance. For people who run, it can help give them power and strength, and you can run faster. And I'm sure at some point in your life, you are going to have to run, whether you're running from something or running towards something, like a child. It's inevitable. My personal story on flexibility: over the summer, I did an internship where I not only learned how to coach various lifting exercises, but I had to do them myself. So when I was evaluated, one of the things was I had to hold a dowel rod over my head like this and do a squat. And what they told me was I didn't have super great hip flexibility. And they could tell just from that one movement, which I was pretty impressed with. But by the end of the summer, because I had problems with hip flexibility, one of the trainers wanted to use me as an example for a blog post about squatting and hip flexibility, and asked me to do the same evaluation technique. And he couldn't even use me because it had resolved itself over time because I had to do squats on a daily basis. Everybody needs balance. You're going to be changing a light bulb at some point, I'm sure, and it would be kind of nice if you have balance on a ladder so you don't fall off. And it works multiple muscle groups. It doesn't just work your legs. It also works your core and your upper back muscles. So, I don't know if any of you have ever thought about how you actually breathe, but this is your diaphragm, and it's a muscle, and when it contracts, it pulls down and creates a vacuum that fills your lungs. When you exhale, it relaxes, so it goes back up and pushes the air back out of your lungs. So it's not actually your lungs doing the work, but your diaphragm. So if you put your hands around your waist and you breathe in through your diaphragm, it should expand. So not only is it going to expand this way, but it should expand this way. And if you do that, and then this sounds silly, but if you act like you're constipated and you tighten those muscles, that's bracing. So it's going to brace all the way around. And that's really going to help prevent any type of back injury when you're doing basically any type of exercise. But in this case, we're using it for squats. So, I found this picture, and she's pretty good. Her feet are a little bit more than shoulder width apart, which is good because if it's only shoulder width apart, it's not quite far enough apart. The toes are slightly pointed out, and then if you saw her from the side, she doesn't want to be like this. You don't want to extend your spine or anything. You want to stay in a neutral position because that is really going to help not only make bracing easier, but make it a little bit more effective. So the actual movement, you're going to start with your hips and you're going to sit back. So instead of going down, you're going to go back. And this is super important because you want to make sure you work the right muscles, which is all back here. And you don't want to hurt your knees. So you don't want your knees to go past, generally the rule is within shoelaces. how far up your knees can go. You want to make sure you keep your chest out. You don't want to hunch your shoulders over. You want to make sure you push your knees out. And a great kind of reference to go by is wherever your toes are pointing, that's where your knee's going to go. So you don't want them buckling in because that's going to cause knee problems and ankle problems. A lot of younger athletes have problems with the posterior shift. So if you think about it, if you move backwards, the first thing that comes up are your toes, and you don't want that to happen. So you're going to either grip the floor with your toes, or if that doesn't work, you can elevate the heels a little bit to give them a little bit of an anterior shift so that they can make that posterior shift without feeling the need to lift their toes. And then coming back up, you're going to power through the ground, which is the easiest way to describe it. You're going to push the ground away from your feet, and that's really going to help you make a smooth transition back up. So I found this picture when I was looking online, and can you tell me problems with any of these?
She looks like she's losing the gap for the first picture.
Yeah, so her hips are a little too far forward, and so it's not really a neutral spine, and I wouldn't suggest doing that because you can cause lower back pain standing like that.
Her knees are too far over her feet.
In this one? Mm-hmm. Exactly right. So she's starting with her knees instead of sitting back, which is a big no-no. The way my trainers taught me to do it, and every single athlete in our facility, was act like you're going to poop in the woods. So you really want to get your butt back because you don't want anything on your shoes. So to go through that again, you want to make sure you start with your hips, sit back, chest out, knees out, and you want to think about your feet. I'm done.